pulled away from seed production in 2022-2023. However, Kenya Seed has reviewed upwards the contracted seed growers' prices to motivate them to allocate more land to seed maize production in 2024. Number 5, Kenya Seed Company has increased and enhanced maize seed varieties through targeted research as per the ecological zones. And number 6, finally, Kenya Seed is working with National Irrigation Board to grow seeds in various suitable regions to increase production and enhance access to seeds. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, I'm calling on Honorable Kasiwai. Kasiwai. Okay, Madam, continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the chair for the response and a good report by explaining the factors that contributed to the maize shortage in the North Rift region. Though the answer is coming late, maybe it is going to help us in the next planting season. However, Mr. Speaker, my concern regards the 400 registered seed distributors in the North Rift region who are holding the maize seeds to farmers and they're selling to the farmers at the exorbitant prices. So I'm wondering what is the ministry doing by not punishing such distributors, because they hold these maize seeds in the stores and sell them to the farmers at a high price. So that one, I'm still not satisfied with the answer. Thanks.
Proceed, Chair. You want to weigh in again?
Well, there are 400 certified distributors, seed distributors across North Rift that are supplying certified seeds. And we've noted that they are actually selling these seeds to farmers at exorbitant prices. And that is why the ministry is coming in to be able to curb that malpractice in the market, and the ministry is taking proper measures to ensure that prices are regulated as per advice, as per the market indicated price of the seed, so that unscrupulous sellers does not take advantage of the farmers.
Are you satisfied, Madam Kasiwai? Proceed.
I'm waiting to see that happening, Speaker. Thank you.
There being no other interest on this, I'll call on the Honorable Irene Mayaka. Proceed. Of sports, yes. This is sports and culture. Irene Mayaka needs her statement on sports and culture. The chair of the sports and culture, or the representative.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On Wednesday, 24th July 2024, during the afternoon sitting, Honorable Irene Mayaka MP requested for a statement regarding the position of Kenya national under 2017 football team. Specifically, the member sought a response to the following two issues. One, plans that the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts, in consultation with the Ministry of Education, has made to ensure that the players have the opportunity to take part, to take their exams at time that does not conflict with their participation in the World Cup, and two, the measures being taken by the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts and other stakeholders, including FIFA, and ensure that the team goes back to the camp for preparation. Honorable Speaker, I beg, I've received the comprehensive response from the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, which I've shared with the honorable member, but I beg to read the key parts of the report and the table the same. Plans that the ministry has: the junior starlets secured an impressive 3-0 victory against Ethiopia, allowing Kenya to advance with a 3-0 aggregate score. The fourth and the final round of the qualifiers saw the junior starlets face Burundi in the first leg, once again in Addis Ababa. Kenya dominated with another 3-0 win, showcasing the ability to perform under pressure. The second leg, played in Nairobi, resulted in a 2-0 victory for Kenya, culminating in a 5-0 aggregate win and securing their place in the World Cup. Concerning making sure that the players have opportunity to take their exams, Mr. Speaker, as per the Kenya National Examination Policy of handling hardship cases for affecting cadres sitting in national examinations, the council will liaise with the center managers of the affected 6 secondary schools and make appropriate arrangements within the examination period for administration of the 2024 KCE papers that clashes with the World Cup fixtures for the Kenyan team. Further, Kenya National Examination wishes to bring to your attention that there will be no national assessment at grade 8 in October 2024, and thus the grade 8 learner in the team is not affected by the World Cup schedule. About the preparation for the World Cup, the team has developed a comprehensive preparation plan focusing on both physical readiness and strategic refinement in anticipation of the FIFA World Cup. The plan is as follows, and I think the Honorable has the schedule, but despite this plan, some junior starlet players are candidates awaiting the national exams. To address this, the Federation wrote to the Ministry of Sports. The Ministry wrote to the Kenya National Examination Council with a copy to the Ministry of Education requesting for special arrangements for the 8 players to undertake the Kenya KCSE and grade 8 examinations. Copies are attached and the honorable member has the same. The ministry is consulting with the Ministry of Education to ensure that the players not only participate in the World Cup, but also sit for their national examinations through a special arrangement. All the necessary preparations are in place for the team to start their residential local camp, which started as early as 18th August, all the way to the World Cup on 1st of October. The member has been given a schedule and the roadmap for the same. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, let me take the opportunity to thank the Chair of Sports Committee, the Honorable Dan Wanyama, because together with his team, despite the fact that we were on recess and the fact that this matter was actually urgent, they did ensure that we got the appropriate responses. And Honorable Speaker, I'm a very happy person now because yesterday, and she has just walked in together with the Honorable Elachi, we were able to witness the official flag off of the Harambee Starlets under 17, who today morning have proceeded to Spain for 10 days practice before they then go to the Dominican. And we just want to say that we are grateful to the Ministry of Sports, the Ministry of Education, for allowing these girls, especially the 6 who were to sit for KCSE during the World Cup, for allowing them to be able to sit for these exams when they come back to the country. Secondly, for the support that they've managed to get from the ministries and also from the presidency. And thirdly, to also wish our young girls the very best, because, Honorable Speaker, for the first time in Kenya, we will have a team representing Kenya in soccer in the World Cup. And it is the young girls of under 17 that have actually taken us to the World Cup. So all the best to the team. And I want to make special mention to the coach, Mildred Cheche, and the young captain who is called Elizabeth, for their leadership to the team. And I really hope that the rest of this house will join me in wishing our young starlets the very best as they carry the flag of Kenya in Spain and in Dominican later in October. So I thank you, and thank you, Chair, for your dedication to have this responded to.
Fair enough. I think you're not seeking any more clarification, and we are safe to go to the next statement. The Honorable Kainan has a statement to make on behalf of the House Business Committee. Proceed, Honorable Kainan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a statement on behalf of the House Business Committee. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 17 September, to prioritize business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, I wish to take this opportunity to welcome members back to the House after the just concluded short recess. As we reflect on what has been achieved, I wish to point out that our mission is far from over. We still have a significant number of legislative proposals, bills, statutory instruments, and reports that most certainly need our keen attention. I therefore urge members to rise to the occasion when the business is being presented before the House and remain diligent in its consideration. Honorable Speaker, with regard to the business for Tuesday next week, the House is expected to consider the second reading of the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, and Kenya National Library Service Bill 2023, if not concluded today. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, debate will also be undertaken on the following motions, should they not be concluded today. 1, report on the consideration of the Consolidated Fund Services expenditure for the supplementary estimates 1 for the financial year 2024-2025. 2, report on consideration of public petition on funds spent contrary to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution. 3, report on the implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House. 4, report on the alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya. 5, second reading on employment diversity audit in public institutions. 6, report on the extraordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, PAP. 7, consideration of reports on financial statements of the state corporations, Nyanza region. 8, ratification of the protocol to Constitutive Act of the African Union relating to the Pan-African Parliament. And 9, consideration of sessional paper 5 of 2023 on the national policy on labor migration. Honorable Speaker, in accordance with the provision of Standing Order 42A5 and 6, I wish to convey that the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry is scheduled to appear before the House on the afternoon of Wednesday, 25th September 2024, to respond to the following questions. Question 1, question number 304 of 2023 by Honorable Member for Alego Usonga, the Honorable Samuel Atandi, MP, regarding the issue of licenses by National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA. 2, question number 029 of 2024 by Member of Maragua, the Honorable Mary Wambua MP, regarding the landfill project in Maragua constituency. 3, question number 105 of 2024 by the member for Jibalungu, the Honorable Victor Koech, MP, regarding the presence of Lalela Company Limited and Naratoi Company Limited conducting large-scale irrigation-based farming. 4, question number 106 of 2024 by a member for Westlands, the Honorable Timothy Wanyonyi, regarding depletion of rivers and measures for sustaining riparian areas. And 5, question 107 of 2024 by a member for Nakuru Town, the Honorable Lisa Chelule, MP, regarding wetlands and catchment areas. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee will reconvene on Tuesday, 24th September 2024 to schedule business for the rest of that week. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House. Thank you on behalf of the Leader of Majority, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Fair enough. Before we go to the next order, I wish to recognize the presence of students or pupils from Nzouni Comprehensive School, Mwingi Central in Kitui County. Is there any member of parliament in here from Kitui who would want to say a word or two to motivate these young Kenyans who have come to see how our parliament works? Yes, proceed, the Honorable KJ. Yeah. We're welcoming the students. Yeah. Proceed and welcome the students. The chair has already welcomed them, but of course you can.
Thank you very
weigh
much,
in
Mr.
on
Speaker.
that, and also, as a young man and as a youth, you can, and as a legislator, you have some wise words for these young people. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And it might be lost to many how I would be having any connections to the former Eastern Province, but let me declare my interest that my birth mother, Hannah Ndindi Motiso, actually hails from what was the larger Machakos County then, which is now divided into Makueni and Machakos County. And it is amazing to have a whole contingent of young people joining us here in Parliament. And I'd like to welcome the students to the 13th Parliament of the nation of Kenya and let them know that this is the house that was created by Article 95 and 96 of our Constitution. And to the students, I say to them that what they see here is the plenary of a National Assembly of members who represent constituencies from every corner of this country, and they are here to discuss, as the Constitution provides, to discuss and resolve all matters that concern Kenyans. So issues to do with education, issues to do with their plight, issues to do with their welfare, and everything else that concerns a Kenyan is canvassed on the floor of this house, and resolutions emerge, deliberations are made, we pass laws, we pass motions here, and all these are because of what they read on the banner that is at the door that we see on as we enter, that says that we are here for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. So I would like to ask all the other members of Parliament to join me in welcoming the learners who are seated in the gallery. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Honorable Basil from the larger Kitui.
Thank you.
You come from Machakos?
Yes, Machakos County, but I can welcome them just.
Yeah.
We have the Kitui Member of Parliament there, from Kitui County, Honorable Nzengu. But to add on what Honorable.
Take a minute and then we'll give 2 minutes to Honorable Nzengu and proceed on with the other substantive business.
Yes, I would say that for the students, although I can't see from where I am, I would say welcome so much to Parliament. We all went through
Go,
the same
go to a
route.
place where they can see you. Go there so that they know who you are. And they can, or they also are able to see the screen, but at the same time go somewhere.
I'm also representing the Gen Zs in Parliament. So for the young students, Karibuni Sana, this is the August House, the 13th Parliament. I represent Yatta constituency. And I would say, don't feel like you are so far from being here. We all went through the same process. At the time when we came here, we used to think whether one time we'll find ourselves here in this house. So you are on the right path. Just put effort and a commit, and one day you'll be with us here. Thank you, and a karibu sana.
Honorable Nzengu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to welcome the students from Mwingi Central to the 13th Parliament. I want to tell them that congratulations for making it to this place. And I just want to encourage you that, in 1988, I was a class 8 student, and the transition from primary to secondary, the period that is in between, I used to come in that public gallery and watch the likes of Martin Chikuku debate. And so where you are is a nice place. Not every student makes it there. So you shouldn't be encouraged that one day you could also represent Mwingi Central. I know Honorable Mulyungi would have loved to be here, but because of commitments, I take the responsibility to really congratulate you and welcome here as Member of Parliament for Mwingi North. Karibuni sana.
Fair enough. Let's go to the next order.
Order number 8, the Mang Beans Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2022, second reading. Mover to reply.
Where is the mover? Proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank members who contributed to the bill, to the debate on the bill. And I want to say that particularly I want to thank the chair of Committee on Agriculture, who took quite a lot of time to go through and elaborate the advantages of the bill. And I also want to urge members that I know most members didn't get an opportunity to interact with the bill, but the bill is a nice bill, contrary to the notion that quite a number of people think that farmers will have to register or we will have to pay to farm mang bean, which is not true. What we are saying in the bill is that we want farmers to be registered at the county level, so that when the county is planning for resources to support agriculture, the county knows exactly how many farmers are going to be involved, what kind of a yield are we expecting, so that even in procuring farm inputs and support to the farmers, there is a target, so that we don't leave it open to just whoever wants to do farming and does not register. Then we may have a lot of pressure on the actual support that we are envisaging in this bill. The other thing is that some cartels have also, misled the Kenyan community, that we are saying that for you to trade for you to plant mang beans, which is ndengu, in other words, you will have to pay. Contrary to that, Mr. Speaker, we are saying that we are trying to remove the middlemen who are operating in between. When the farmers are planting, during the planting season, for example, you find that the price of ndengu is about 200 per kilogram. But when they harvest, the price is forced by some cartels to about 40 or even 30. So what we are trying to do is to protect the farmers from exploitation by middlemen. And we are proposing that the farmers will be then formed like forms of cooperative, and we are telling the counties that they will now be by law required to do the marketing, so that we don't leave the farmers on their own, just like any other cash crop, Mr. Speaker. So I just wanted to clarify that some people have misunderstood the bill, and there is also the claim that it has not been subjected to public participation. But I think because it probably will still have to go to the committee, because I don't think it was anyway, I didn't see the report from the committee. Then maybe it's going to be then taken back to the committee, and then the committee can do the public participation that some members have voiced concern. But Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you.
We're not going to put the question on that. The question on the same is deferred to another appropriate date in the future. The chair will determine that. So in the meantime, next order.
Order number 9, motion, enhancing reporting of parliamentary business on online platforms, resumption of debate.
This debate was moved and seconded. Now we have anybody who wants to contribute. The Honorable Moses Kirima, are you on the screen because you want to contribute on this motion, or it was put in earlier for other reasons?
Yes,
Earlier, okay. How about the Honorable Beatrice Elachi? Proceed. This is the motion on the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know I was waiting to get a copy, but I'll proceed by appreciating, first of all, that within this government, this is a government that appreciated that it is important for us to go digital. And I know when you look at most of the work, even the president himself, you'll find him always on a digital platform, using his iPad and all that. And I think as we now look at digitizing our business in Parliament, which we have sort of semi-done it, Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to ask ourselves whether we want to continue to have it semi or we want to fully, because you'll always find us struggling also even looking for the papers. Today, we were just talking in the Committee of Services, Mr. Speaker. And one of the things we were asking ourselves when we were doing the Bunge Towers, why is it that we did not digitize nearly everything there? That today we are still waiting for each other on a committee, trying to wait these ones to come out, instead of having a digital platform where it shows even on the screen that we are about to finish business and the next committee that is about to occupy this space is a committee called Labor and Protection or whatever. But then it gives the committee time for planning. It gives the committee efficiency so that you don't also take too long. And this is just an example I'm giving. And so, Mr. Speaker, there are many things that we need to ask ourselves. And I know this is the House that presents all the laws that we have in the country. And we are pushing ourselves even to go now more in our constituency to be digitized fully. And if that is the concern, and if we want to be very clear in open government partnerships, and you know that we were with you one time in a meeting, that if you want to have transparency and efficiency, it is good to use the different digital apps that can create that efficiency. And so for Parliament, there are a few things that we also find very interesting. that we have to really push. And I'll tell you, in the services sector, in the way we look at our HR, many things, Mr. Speaker, that we need to question and have good answers from every department that we have. Today, if we were fully digitized, Mr. Speaker, even you won't be wondering why is it that you don't have to know how many staffs you have in the whole of this parliament. Any member of parliament asked, I doubt whether they will even know the number of staff we have. But if it is a digitized platform, people even get to know when they are about to retire. It gives you a way of planning. It gives you, and that is what all civil servants are doing now. So for us, we have to really come out the way we go. You have to sign for this. These are some of the things, if we want, even a member could be, you can just receive. We have the iPad, so we are able to receive, even if I just click on my portal, I'm able to know I have been in Bunge 3 times in this week. I have gone to my committees. I have missed this. If we have a system that helps, it will be a system that will really guide as we move forward. So as much as we are in the 13th Parliament, we must ensure all these papers we are photocopying must now be a past. We have to really ask ourselves, and I'm hoping Parliamentary Service Commission will also help us in that, but they also have to look at the new tower and try and bring in that exemplary example they want to tell us. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
The Honorable Kipsanaya Adam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion on enhancing on reporting on social media. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, the world of today is run through technology. And Kenya being one of the countries that is ahead of in terms of technology in Africa, this is the only way that can help us to grow our economy and create so many opportunities. Mr. Speaker, back to enhancing on reporting, especially on parliamentary work. This work, Mr. Speaker, will help to showcase work done by members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, members of parliament, apart from contributing in this plenary, are doing a lot of work, especially during committee work. But because we are only using the traditional way of reporting, that is the televised reporting, many people at the grassroots level are not able actually to follow what members of parliament are doing at that particular time. And this one has become a problem. You can remember, Mr. Speaker, the other day when Kenya lost a very good bill, in the finance bill, because of lack of communication. This was majorly contributed because when you listen to many Kenyans, they used to say that we were not told the contents of this bill because we only depend on what the media, especially the mainstream media, is reporting. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, is that it gives real-time information. If we use social media platforms like the Facebook, the Twitter, and everything, a Kenyan who is not supposed to be glued on a television can get to know what is happening in this house, and maybe he or she can give feedback on how it can help members in delivering their work. The Speaker, members can also get direct feedback. You know, in this country, sometimes we have a very educated young generation. Some of them call themselves Gen Zs, and they have very important points and very important input that can help our country to grow. So if we enhance such platforms, it can help us to have a one country that we bring together all the thoughts and ideas from members of our public. Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, is that members of parliament here, we are around 400 here. And if we can enhance the social media reporting, whereby a member of parliament like me from Keyo North, I can be able to see what is happening in Madira, in the other sides of Ugunja, and that one can help us in terms of challenging ourselves in economic growth and also development in our respective constituencies. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, is that we must enhance this way of technology because it saves time, it cuts costs in terms of paperwork, and also time in delivering in our mandate. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge maybe Parliamentary Service Commission that we support, especially the Committee on Broadcasting and Library Services, on implementing its recommendation. Today we are here, but we are still using around 80% of our transmission using KBC. But there is a young person in the upcountry. People are in universities. They want to know what is happening and they want real-time information. So this young person will not be able to stay there, wait for some 9 p.m. news to be broadcast. Perhaps they will capture 1 or 2 members, but they will not get what is happening in the entire house. I therefore support the motion, and I say to the committee, that is a good work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Naomi Wako, MP Marsabit.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to this very important debate on enhancing reporting of parliamentary business online platforms. Honorable Speaker, we know very well during COVID time, we were forced to use most of the time to use online meetings, to have online meetings, and also conduct our businesses online. That really helped us and saved the situation. Today, the world is moving very fast, and some of us are still analog, but many people are digital. And that is why we need to move as members of parliament so that most of our businesses can be transacted through online platform. Honorable Speaker, we know again when we have our committee meetings where members deal with issues that affect our people at the grassroots level, when the different committees handle different matters that really touches on the lives of Kenyans, a lot of our debate or our discussions are not covered. But when this happens, then our people will be able to follow the progress and see even some of the things that we discuss at the national level on their behalf. Today, we might say that the people in the villages have no time or have no TVs, but you'll be surprised even in the far north, everybody knows what happens, even in America today. So it is high time for us to approve this and go online in terms of our businesses so that our people can be educated through our debates, through our deliberations, and they can also see the resolutions we make as they wait for the different state departments to take action and also take the services to them. And with those few remarks, I support this. Thank you.
MP Yatta, followed by the MP for the Greater South, and Honorable John Kiragu of Limuru after the MP for the Greater South. Proceed, MP for Yatta.
MP Yatta, yes, Basil. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor and allow me to thank the Chair for Parliamentary Committee for Broadcasting and Library for bringing this motion. Truly, Mr. Speaker, we're in the exponential age, that is technology age. Today, everyone is Instagram, Twitter, and many other platforms. So ideally, Mr. Speaker, by having this motion, it means majority of our people will be able to access information online. Mr. Speaker, very importantly, through this motion, we'll make ourselves more transparent and make people understand what Parliament does very well. Mr. Speaker, this is going to enhance accountability because our people will be able to access information online, Mr. Speaker. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, through online platform, Mr. Speaker, our people and our citizens will be able to connect very well with the parliament, because today, as we speak, many of our people, particularly people who are not in the house or who are not very much able to read or watch media, are not able to access. Someone who is also looking at my categorization, a millennial, and someone who fits well within the line or within. So that we don't discriminate people contrary to Article 10 of the Constitution, which encourages for inclusivity when it comes to governance, including information sharing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, I support.
The Honorable MP for the Greater South.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. And communicators tell us that if you do not tell your story the way you would want to tell it, someone will tell your story the way you would not want it to be told. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I do stand to support this report on enhancing the reporting on parliamentary business on online platforms, Mr. Speaker. And I'm informed by Article 118 of the Constitution that says that parliamentary business, Mr. Speaker, must be open, and the proceedings of parliament, whether they're in plenary or committee, must be done in public. And so, Mr. Speaker, if the world is moving towards newer methods of communicating, then Parliament is moving in the right direction by onboarding its communication to the online platforms. Mr. Speaker, this gives Parliament an opportunity for public participation. And I see my very good friend, the Honorable George Koimburi, in the House. And he, just as I know, we both know the dangers that Parliament runs into when we do not communicate our story the way we would, as we witnessed during the finance bill, Mr. Speaker, whereby some issues that had been canvassed outside this House, which were not in the bill, ended up becoming an issue that was a matter of life and death. Mr. Speaker, the failure here was not on any member who said yes or no. There was a big failure on how we communicated as Parliament. In communication, we say that the way to communicate is that there is a message, there is a channel, and there is a receiver, and then there is a mechanism loop to ensure that the receiver has received the message, so that if the message is not correct, it can be corrected so that you communicate effectively. As it is, Mr. Speaker, Parliament is speaking in platforms where Kenyans are not, and Kenyans are speaking in spaces where Parliament is not at. That is why today Parliament is one of the biggest punching bags. It's a boogeyman of this country. Mr. Speaker, this limited visibility that Parliament has been enjoying is not favorable for any member of Parliament. Even if Parliament seems so unpopular, I can tell you the ladies and gentlemen seated in this House are actually very popular in their constituencies. Otherwise, they would not be here. So it means that Parliament needs to reorganize the way it is engaging the different publics to give them the right information so that the popularity that these members have on the ground can be translated to the institution of parliament. Mr. Speaker, I went through this report with a fine-tooth comb, and I saw that it is recommending for us to review the existing platforms of parliament. It is recommending for us to develop guidelines that will allow for us to have even communication officers in our different constituencies so that they can feed into the content generation of the news that parliament will be putting out there. I saw this report recommending something critical, Mr. Speaker. It is recommending that our parliament must invest in communication. Mr. Speaker, communication is investing in a bank of goodwill. And you invest in this bank of goodwill in fair weather. What the wise man says, the white man says that you make your hay while the sun shines. In the good times, using communication, you invest in this bank of goodwill because there's a time you will be in a situation where you're not in goodwill with people. And that is when you start withdrawing from the bank of goodwill. Why this parliament went into such attack is because we had not invested into this bank of goodwill. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the last point I would like to make is that even as we're onboarding our communication onto new platforms, let us be alive to the realities of the new world. Things called cyber crimes, cyber attacks, all these are realities that exist in the world that we want to import our thing into. So, Mr. Speaker, the recommendation I make is that even as we are thinking about onboarding to other proprietary existing platforms, like have been named here, Kenya should also think about making its own Facebook, its own TikTok, its own Twitter, so that we own this content and we also own the platforms that exist, because we know the danger that there is in putting our information out there in platforms that we do not own. Parliament is capable of developing its own digital platform and digital.
You can have an additional 1 minute, yes. So that
Mr. Speaker, you are very kind, and I do appreciate this. The point I was making is that information is power. We are in what is being referred to as the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution shall be fueled by data. And when you generate data, today data becomes a currency. So the data that we generate with the content that we are putting on these new online platforms should be content that we are able to manage from the beginning to the end. And that is why I request that beyond just onboarding onto existing international, multinational, big tech platforms, Parliament should also consider building its own platforms that we can own so that we can secure our information away from the people who have bad intents against this institution. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
MP for Limuru, John Kiragu. Please give the mic to the Honorable John Kiragu. Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this report on enhancing reporting on broadcasting, and please, I need your help here. My good friend Alice is very close to me. I rise to report to support this report on enhancing reporting of parliamentary business on online platforms. As I do so, Mr. Speaker, I make reference to the fact that the Constitution provides the public a right to the information or the proceedings that goes on in the National Assembly and also the Senate. As you are aware, at a time like this, we have been sharing the broadcasting between National Assembly and Senate in a shared platform through the Signet, but in limited area in Nairobi. But I know that there has been development, like my colleagues have said, and technology has changed. And since 2016, when we had a social media policy for this house, things have changed. technology has changed. And it is about time that we realigned our social platforms in line with the technology that has so far developed. As my friends have mentioned, there has been TikTok, Facebook, in the YouTube, and all these platforms have been used at, within the parliament and outside, but it is about time that we reviewed as to how we have been utilized. The numbers don't show that we have been utilizing the platforms that we have. If you look at the numbers in the YouTube, you find, Mr. Speaker, that we have not been actively involved. But I want to acknowledge the support that our committee of broadcasting and library service that has received when we were discussing this report, particularly from the ICT committee and the Parliamentary Service Commission, the personnel from Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, who are contracted to cover the proceedings of this House. Their contribution really helped us to put up some specific recommendations. And these recommendations, Mr. Speaker, are directed to making sure that we align this parliament with other parliaments in the world, that we cannot afford to be left behind in matter of disseminating information to the public. And Mr. Speaker, we also noted that people know about what happens in parliament by the covering they get, particularly on plenary sessions. But Mr. Speaker, you know, a lot happens within the committees and they are not covered adequately. We know that the activities of members of parliament are not only restricted within the premises of the parliament, that each one of us has an office out there in our constituencies. And these constituencies also carry parliamentary duties, whether we are giving bursaries or providing services to our people. So we are providing guidelines to make sure that whatever happens on our constituencies, it is also covered. And for that reason, that's why we are calling for a review of the social media policy. But quickly, Mr. Speaker, we are saying that we need to review quickly on our social media policy within 6 months, that we need to review our website to make sure that we align it with the activities that we have. And this, we are giving it some 3 months. We develop guidelines, packaging and of the content, and within 6 months, review parliamentary social media.
Limuru, proceed. I'm giving you an additional.
And that we can have a social policy to include provisions of publishing members of parliament information to make sure that within 6 months that we can adopt a reviewed report. Mr. Speaker, we can develop guidelines for the designation of one staff in our constituency among the existing staff to make sure that the content that comes from the constituency and it is transmitted to parliament is one that is not fake, that it is traceable, and that we have somebody qualified to carry that responsibility. We can ensure that the Media Relations Department provides a structure for media coverage and verification. And this, Mr. Speaker, we think that we can also do it within a very short time. I want to say and emphasize what has been said. We must allocate resources to ensure that all the things that will be necessary to enhance the social media platforms are funded adequately. Mr. Speaker, you know, even with the gadgets that are here, not all of them are working when we need them to work. And I think it's so important for us to make sure that resources are provided so that we can support the platforms that we have, and we make sure that as a country and as a parliament, that we cannot afford to be left behind by the rest of the other parliaments around the world. I thank you.
Well, there being no interest, and I will call upon the mover to reply. Where is the chair for the?
I'm here, Speaker.
Where are you? Oh, yeah,
I
you're
am
way
here,
back there.
Speaker, and
Honorable Nanok,
yes, Mr. Speaker.
proceed now and you reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to reply to this motion. But Speaker, allow me to donate some of my time to one of my members here who wants to speak to the motion. Kindly, if you can allow that, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, yes. I mean,
I give
it's just that
to-
we did not have any registered interest
Yeah.
in here.
Mheshimiwa George Gachagua
Proceed,
is
Honorable
next to me
Gachagua.
here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this motion, Mr. Speaker, considering that our constitutional Article 118 requires the Parliament to conduct its activities in the open. And I believe that this will promote transparency in all our deliberations. Mr. Speaker, the online platforms will enhance visibility of the works being done by the members of Parliament, inside Parliament, and in the committee meetings. Mr. Speaker, the online platforms will capture a lot of attention from many Kenyans, and I believe that once it is undertaken, a lot of Kenyans will be in a position to actually even comment on what we shall be doing here. It will also enhance public participation, because it has been realized that most Kenyans don't know maybe what goes on inside here. But through online platforms, I believe that we'll be in a position to let Kenyans know what we do here in Parliament, and many questions will be answered through these social platforms. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Do you still wish to donate some more minutes to any other colleague? Okay, proceed now and move on to reply now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And from the onset, Speaker, I wish to register my appreciation and gratitude to the members of the House who have spoken in support of this motion, seeing how important this motion is to this House or to Parliament generally. Mr. Speaker, the members have pointed out the contribution that this motion can make in terms of improving the visibility of this House, the public participation enhancement that will be seen in the public if this House can adopt or will adopt this motion. And Mr. Speaker, some of the members, of course, one of the members who has contributed here today, of course, has cautioned us on the question of the cost of upgrading the online infrastructure in Parliament. And the same, of course, has also been rebutted by the importance of investing in this infrastructure. And Parliament of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, is in a position and is able to plan for this online infrastructure
in a staggered manner so as to achieve the intended goal. Mr. Speaker, the world of technology is moving very fast. This has been observed in communication, and therefore we cannot afford to be left behind, and therefore we have to move along with the current technological improvements as a parliament. And most importantly, Mr. Speaker, online platform reporting, Mr. Speaker, will give us the platform to say our own story as parliament. And this is the gist of this report. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I do not want to belabor the points that the members have made here in support of the motion, and therefore would ask that this House supports this motion so that we can move on with what needs to be done to help us improve our online reporting. I want to thank you, and I move.
The question will not be put today. The chair directs that we will find an appropriate time when the question is going to be put. For now, it's deferred. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, report on the consolidated fund services expenditures for the supplementary estimates 1 for the financial year 2024-2025, resumption of debate.
I don't see any interest. I'm looking at my screen here. Beatrice, is this an old request you made, or you intend to contribute on the, it's old? Okay, under the circumstances, we'll have to call on the mover to reply. Where is the mover? Is he in the house? Is the mover in the house? So then, next order. This is also now deferred to another date. The next order.
Order number 11, motion, public petition on funds spent contrary to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution. Resumption of debate.
This is also an old debate. It's a resumption now. And there's no interest except Beatrice Elachi. Are you not interested, or is it an old one? It's an old one, okay. Well, under the circumstances, I'll also call upon the mover to reply. Where is the mover? The mover is not in. So that business is deferred to another date, when at appropriate date, and then the mover will reply and the question will be put. Next order, order number 12.
Order number 12, motion, implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House.
Is the chairperson of the Committee on Implementation in the House? Rafael Ojala.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the first report of the Committee on Implementation on the implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House, laid on the table of the House on 26th October 2023. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Implementation is established under Standing Order 209 of the National Assembly Standing Orders. The committee scrutinizes resolutions of the House, including adopted committee reports, petitions, and undertakings given by the National Executive. The committee examines whether such decisions and undertakings have been implemented, and whether such implementations has taken place within the minimum time necessary and satisfactory explanation for the delay in full implementation provided. Mr. Speaker, the mandate of the committee is further elucidated by Standing Order 201 of the National Assembly Standing Orders that provides that within 60 days of a resolution of the House or adoption of a report of a select committee, the relevant cabinet secretary under whose portfolio the implementation of the resolution falls shall provide a report to the appropriate committee of the House. Mr. Speaker, sir, in consonance with Article 153(4)(b) of the Constitution, requires Cabinet Secretary to provide Parliament with full and regular reports concerning matters under their control. That the committee plays a pivotal role in ensuring that the National Assembly resolves issues of concern to the people by holding the executive to account through the implementation of House resolutions. This ultimately ensures that the National Assembly executes its constitutional mandate effectively and efficiently, and that it does not act in vain. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the execution of its mandate, the committee wrote to various ministries, state corporations, and agencies requesting for the implementation status of resolution petitions and adopted committee reports passed by this House. The committee received both oral and written submissions from the cabinet secretaries and accounting officers of the state corporations, providing the implementation status of the recommendations contained in the reports adopted by the House in the sittings held from February to April 2023 as follows. A, the report of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research on Public Petition number 047 of 2021 regarding the suspension of the Teacher Professional Development Program, that is TPD. B, report by the Departmental Committee on Education and Research on Public Petition regarding the repeal of sections of the Universities Act 2012. C, the Special Fund Accounts Committee report on the examination of audited financial statements for financial years 2013, 2014 to 2015-2016 for the National Government Constituency Development Fund, NGCDF, for constituencies in Nairobi County. The Public Investments Committee report on the inquiry into the safety of ferries as observed in the audited accounts for financial year 2016-17, and a report by the Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on its consideration of the petition by the Kenya Association of Retired Officers, CARO, on improved terms for pensioners in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, in addition, the committee undertook inspection visits to some projects and corporations to ascertain the progress made in implementing the recommendation of the various reports. This report entails a compilation of the responses received and their status of implementation as at the time of the adoption of the report. Committee observations and recommendations. Mr. Speaker, sir, in consideration of the implementation status of House resolutions pursuant to its mandate under Standing Order 209 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, the committee made the following general observations which have a direct impact on the implementation of House resolutions. A, implementation of the majority of the House resolutions have budgetary implications for their effective implementation. For this reason, there is a need for appropriation of funds in subsequent financial years to ensure House resolutions are implemented as directed. However, in most instances, inadequate budgetary allocations is the major hindrance to effective implementation of the same by ministries, departments, and agencies. B, there was no adequate budget allocated to the ministries, departments, and agencies to implement some of the recommendations. And C, some of the recommendations were generalized and not specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, so as to facilitate smooth implementation of House resolutions. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to address these challenges, the committee made the following general recommendations. That the accounting officers of MDS, that is ministry, departments, and other agencies, should factor resolutions with budgetary implications in the subsequent financial year budgets for effective implementation. That accounting officers of MDS should incorporate House resolutions in their work plans for effective and efficient delivery of the implementations. This should include timelines for achievement of specific deliverables and assignment of responsibility. And C, that the EACC should provide a status report of all pending investigations stated in this report within 60 days of the adoption of this report by the House. D, the National Treasury should ensure appropriations of funds for the implementation of House resolutions are done within one financial year following the adoption of a House resolution for the public to derive the intended benefits. Further, the National Assembly should allocate sufficient funds to the implementing agencies for effective implementation of reports passed by the House. And C, government agencies and departments are directed to implement House resolutions should endeavor to fit the resolutions in their work plans and deliver the same within the stipulated time frame. Failure to do so, sanctions should be imposed against the responsible officials. Mr. Speaker, sir, those observations and recommendations, if considered and implemented, will enhance accountability, effectiveness, transparency, efficiency, prudent management, commercial viability, and value for money in state corporations. Mr. Speaker, sir, having noted the proceedings of the Select Committee on implementation on the examination of the various reports, I beg to move and urge the House to adopt this report.
You have to be seconded.
And I now request the Honorable Koimburi. See, I can't trace it. Mwalio and Honorable Mwalio to second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Valio, proceed. Give him the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I second.
Fair enough. I'll have to propose the question. Honorable members, I now propose a question that this House adopts the report of the Select Committee on implementation and its consideration of the first report on implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by this House, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, the 26th of October, 2023. The Honorable Ochieng David.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the committee chaired by the Honorable Njala, who is my neighbor at home, for a good report, Mr. Speaker. The National Assembly and indeed Parliament in this country works through bills, resolutions, petitions. And to know how effective our role is, Mr. Speaker, to know that Parliament has teeth depends almost entirely on adherence to and implementation of the resolutions made by this House. The Speaker, it is so disturbing, extremely so, that first of all, we take so long to make our resolutions. And even when we make them, Mr. Speaker, if you listen to the report that has been presented to this House this evening, and you check the history of resolutions from this House and the implementation, Mr. Speaker, including sometimes even private members' bills that become law. It's like we are begging. Like this House has no capacity to ensure that the resolutions of this House are implemented. There are many, but you can count on your fingers how many have been implemented to the end, Mr. Speaker. And so it will be upon this House, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that in future, be it a government department, be it a ministry, be it a SAGA, be it an MDA, if this House passes a resolution, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the motion, the order paper today, and of this week, and of next week, and of the previous, Mr. Speaker, this House works through motions. And most of the time, these motions propose resolutions to ensure that the country moves in the right direction, Mr. Speaker. If the assembly of the people of this country make resolutions that are not implemented, Mr. Speaker, then you're working in vain. And so I believe that we must get away as a House to ensure that our resolutions are implemented and that failure to implement our resolutions has sanctions to it. You've had Chair present his report, and there are myriad things that this House resolves every day. This afternoon, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon, we had a case where a gentleman, an MCA, has been abducted. No one knows where he is. The police don't know. The committee concerned Parliament doesn't know. And we've had cases like this so many times when they come, they brought to the House, we make solutions, but nothing happens. And so this House has become like a talk shop. We talk and talk, and then talk some more. Then we come back, the same issues raised in the next session.
Proceed. Give him an additional 2-3 minutes.
The same issues brought in the following Parliament. Again, we talk. And it's because we didn't give our committees, or even if we've given them, our committees are not biting with the teeth that the Constitution gives them. Our committee are not using the teeth.
Yeah. What's your point of order, the Honorable MP for the Greater South?
Mr. Speaker, as you would know, I would be very hesitant to interrupt the honorable member for Ugenya when he's debating, because you know the quality of his debate. And you can even tell from his contribution how important this motion is to our republic, even from the points that he's raising. Mr. Speaker, we are on agenda number 11, which is the motion on public petitions on funds spent contrary to the provisions of Article 22. A very important, sorry, we are now on the reports on petitions, Mr. Speaker, a very important tell you that we are running into quorum hitches. As we speak now, if you look around the House, Mr. Speaker, I would like to bring to your attention that we actually do not have quorum when we are debating such an important matter that is before this House, Mr. Speaker. And again, I want to apologize because I'm always very hesitant to be on my feet when the honorable member for Ugenya is on his feet because of the substance that he brings to this House. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Under these circumstances, it is crystal clear that we do not have a quorum. I direct that we ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes. And also direct the whips to do their job of whipping members of parliament to the House. Well, the quorum bell is being rung. It's only the whips who are allowed to go out there and to whip members of parliament.
Over this afternoon is in progress, and that is the quorum hitch has been raised by the honorable member John Kiarie, who stood on a point of order to alert the speaker that the House, as the debate is on, does not have the required quorum during the proceeding of the House, and this is pursuant to the House Standing Order number 35. The Standing Order number 35 indicates that if at any time after the chair is taken or when the House is in committee or a member objects that there is not a quorum present, the Speaker or the chairperson shall count the members in the House or the committee as the case may be. And in this case, it is the House. Standing Order 35, paragraph 2 indicates that if on the count under paragraph 1, that is, if a point has been raised, that there is no quorum and there is a count, a quorum does not appear to be present, the Speaker shall cause the division bell to be rung as on a division, or if no quorum is present, at the expiration of the 10 minutes. Remember, what we have seen right now is that the Honorable Member Farah Maalim, who sits in the Speaker's panel, and currently the Speaker for this particular time, has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes, also directing the whips in the House to do their role or to undertake their role of whipping members who may be within the precincts of Parliament but not inside the chambers to do right that. Also, the Speaker directed that no member other than the whips should walk out of the chamber. Of course, remember the House is looking for members to be inside the chamber. So if at any point any other member who is inside the chamber walks out other than the whips, then that would jeopardize the whole part of looking for members to correct for the House to proceed with its business. At the expiration of the 10 minutes, if the Speaker is in the chair, the Speaker shall adjourn the House until the next sitting without question put. So as the 10-minute quorum bell during the proceeding of the House continues, we hope that the quorum will be achieved. If not, then the House shall adjourn until the next sitting. And before the quorum, the lack of quorum in the House was raised by the Honorable Member. The member for Ugenya, David Ochieng, was on the floor of the House. That is Honorable Sabina Chege. Of course, she's just walked into the chambers. Before that quorum hitch was raised by the Honorable Member John Kerry, the member for Ugenya, Honorable David Ochieng, was on the floor of the House. At this point, the business that was being transacted was consideration of the motion on the implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House. The quorum bell is still on. Remember, this is a quorum hitch during the proceeding of the House business and pursuant to the House Standing Order number 35. Then a member could raise on a point of order to indicate that there is no quorum inside the House, and that is what exactly has happened. But before that quorum bell or that quorum hitch, business that was on the floor was that members were considering the implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House. This is a motion that was moved by the chairperson, Committee on Implementation, that is Honorable Raphael Wanjala. This is with regards to a report that was laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 26th October, the year 2024. And members had begun considering or debating weighing in on this particular motion, with the member for Ugenya, Honorable David Ochieng, taking the floor and indicating that the resolutions of the House ought to be implemented, that there are a number of reports and even concerns that are discussed by the House, and resolutions are usually made, but implementation, as he indicated, said some of them are not implemented, and that then begs the question of the whole point of making resolutions for various concerns, whether it is about ministries or departments, agencies, that is either government agencies, government departments, ministries, and various other institutions that issues are brought before the floor of the House, and the House makes such resolutions, but end up not being implemented. This is a report that was moved by the chairperson of the Committee on Implementation, that is Honorable Raphael Wanjala. As you can see, he is right there in front of the dispatch area with other members. Currently is a quorum bell that is underway. Pursuant to House Standing Order number 35, if during the proceedings of the House, when the business is in progress and the House lacks quorum, that is Honorable Farah Maalim, the Speaker. If there is no quorum, then the House will be adjourned. Allow me to hand you over back to the proceedings of the House.
Honorable members, there being no requisite quorum, and the time being 5:38 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 24th of September, 2024, the year 2024, at 2:30 p.m.
pale ambapo mumeguza na pale ambapo muliguza, muweke tochi yenu hapo hapo ili wakaaji wa Lamu County waweze kuishi kwa amani. Na ninashukuru kwa sababu bila amani hatuwezi kuwa na nchi. Kwa hivyo bila kupoteza wakati, na sasa nataka nichukue nafasi hii nimkaribishe senator wa Lamu County ili na wewe aweze kuwakaribisha wale senators ama wale ambao wanafanya nao kazi. Lakini kwa heshima yako Bishop, unikubalie, manake niko na kipaza sauti, niwatambue Mheshimiwa Julius Ndegwa. Pole kidogo senator. Mheshimiwa Julius Ndegwa, nilikuwa nimemuona, huyu ndiye, mpigieni makofi Mheshimiwa Ndegwa, alikuwa mbunge hapa, naibu wa gavana. Francis Mugo, chairman wa Scrap Metal, pigieni makofi, mnamjua, alikuwa amesimama senator. Na sijui kama kuna kiongozi mwingine ambaye nimeruka, lakini sote na wale wengine ambao waruka wataweza kutajwa.